What's up, gamers? It's your boy, JKon. Welcome to another video. With Masters Madrid all wrapped up and the regular season about to begin, I thought it'd be fun to break down how this 11-team round robin bracket will work and kind of how playoffs will work, and go over each of the groups for all the 4 regions and kind of my predictions going forward. And at the end of the video, I'll give my predictions for the opening week for all the 4 regions, so we'll see how many right I get over the season. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Please go follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JKonTV. Again, I'm so sorry. I've been very lazy, but I did get co-streaming rights for Americas and for China. So hopefully I'll be able to cover them throughout this year and throughout the season. I believe I will be missing the first couple of days as I do want to watch the NCAA Final Four with my dad. So you know what? Family comes first. Tell your mom that you love them. Give them a hug. All that Jimmy jazz. Anyways, without further delay, let's get into it. All right, so Riot has given us this lovely article, which I will link in the description, which is everything that you need to know about the 2024 VCT Americas season, which I think is quite helpful. So how the first split will work out is that since there are 5 teams in Alpha and 6 teams in Omega, each of the teams will be playing one another in a cross-group matchup. Now, how the standings will work out is that each team will be rated on their ranking against the other teams within their group. So, if Sentinels are 3-0 and Cloud9 are 1-2, then they are going head-to-head against one another in score. Now, the top 3 teams from each of the groups will be making it into the playoff bracket, and that's kind of how the seeds will shake out. Now, if we look at the playoff bracket, it's a pretty standard Valorant bracket that we've seen so far, with the lower seeds facing off against one another and the top 2 seeds getting a bye into semifinals, with of course a BO5 in lower finals and of course grand finals. So that's again pretty standard, pretty good. Now for stage 2, it's going to be an intergroup play where the teams will play one another within the group. So Sentinels will play Cloud9, G2, etc. Lev versus Loud, 100 Thieves, etc, etc. And the standings for this one is that the top 6 teams at the end of stage 2 will qualify for the stage 2 playoffs. And out of those stage 2 playoffs, the top 3 teams will be qualified for champions. So really, split 2 playoffs is kind of the most important part of the year, in my opinion. So what does this mean? It means, in my opinion, Alpha group always has an advantage. The reason why, especially in split 1, is that since the top 3 teams get to go, you have a 60% chance to make it out for Alpha versus the 50% chance out of Omega. I don't know if that 10% is really that big of a deal, but you never know. It might come down to the wire in some of these regions. Now, as for the 3 teams that I think will come out of each group for Masters Shanghai, at least for the playoffs for Masters Shanghai, I believe that it will be Sentinels, G2, and NRG from Alpha, and Omega, it's going to be Loud, Lev, and 100 Thieves. I'm actually really high on 100 Thieves. I think they looked really good during kickoff, and I thought they were cooking. And now that they've had a lot more time to flesh out their team, flesh out their map pool, I think it looks really good. I actually really enjoyed the Cryo controller. No cap, his Astra looked pretty solid. One more point that I want to put out here is that championship points and how they come into effect. Every single win in the regular split, as well as a win in the playoffs, counts for 1 championship point. Now, who has championship points already? Every single winner of kickoff, so Sentinels from Americas, Genji from Pacific, Karmine Corp from EMEA, and EDG from China. All of them have 3 points already, and of course with Sentinels claiming the win at Masters Madrid, they have 3 more points, guaranteeing them 6 points, which is equivalent to 60% of the regular season wins, which is really huge. So I would not be surprised at all to see Sentinels take their foot off the gas a little bit at the beginning, especially because John is currently suffering from visa issues as he is stuck in Morocco. Now, let's go over to EMEA, who of course are starting tomorrow, which time flies by so freaking fast, man. My God. And we'll just talk about the groups here. So for me in Group Alpha, I'm going with the top 3 right here. I think Karmine Corp, of course, looked really impressive coming out of the gate swinging really hard. They did not make it to playoffs for Masters Madrid, but I still thought that they had a really good showing. They just crumbled a little bit under the pressure, but that's to be expected from a very young rookie team. Fnatic, in my opinion, were just kind of complacent coming into the new year, but I think with a month off and really grinding and focusing. I think that they're still a top team in the world and they should not be doubted. And honestly, they were really only one match away from making Madrid, so it's not as if they got blown out at all. And as for Vitality, they will be having Trexen. I don't know 100% how the rules are going to break down, but the way Vitality was playing earlier, it looked like Destrin was kind of taking over the roles that Trex was going to slot into, which was more of the Sentinel role. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they play, but I'm super excited for Vitality. Now for Group Omega, I feel like these are a lot of teams. I feel like there's like a pretty clear top 3 in my opinion. I'm going to go with Navi, Team Heretics, and Foot. I think Foot, and we're just a little overcooking too much with their comps a little bit, but they were very, very competitive. Obviously, they pushed that map against Carmine Core all the way to 20 to 18 or something like that, which is insane. And then they stomped them on the second map. So honestly, Foot are still a very, very competitive team, and I'm really high on them. Navi, of course, same argument as Fnatic. They were just one round away from Madrid. I don't think they're a bad team. I think Artis was absolutely cooking on the Yoru, so no doubts there. And of course, we saw Team Heretics. Now, one of the things that I would say could be a drawback that the other 3 teams in this group could take advantage of here is that Heretics will not be playing with Woot or Miniboo for at least a week or 2. Miniboo has exams that he needs to finish, and Woot unfortunately is suffering from visa issues. So although they already have Patty Tech in the system getting ready to be a replacement for them, I believe they'll probably have to be playing with Weber, and that might hinder them a lot. So honestly, depending on how the other 3 teams come out, I can easily see that 3rd slot between these 4 teams. Maybe Koi will have like a really big rise. They did play solidly, honestly, during kickoff, a lot better than I was kind of expecting. Gentlemates, I was kind of iffy on, and still kind of iffy on a little bit, although they have my boy Logan. I love that guy. And GX, I talked about that in my roster mania video, so kind of eh. Heading over to China, we have a very interesting group in my opinion for Alpha, because I think there are 2 standout ones that I think will make it for sure, which I believe is EDG and DRG. And I think that 3rd slot is really going to go down to BLG versus Wolves. I'm so questionable on this one because I'm so high on Wolves. I'm very questionable on BLG. But I also think that BLG can bounce back and really recover their form versus Wolves are still kind of like solidifying themselves. But I'm going to go with Wolves for now. Wolves is kind of my guess to make it out of this group for now. These 3. Now we go over to Group Omega, and this is also a very tough group to call in my opinion. I think, for example, Trace got a little bit weaker in my opinion, losing Flexen. Tyloo maybe got a little bit stronger, getting him and dropping Law King. JDG I think got a lot stronger, bringing in an actual IGL and Yuchen. TEC looked pretty solid throughout, and I actually thought they had some really fun plays and they were just really creative, and the RB Rays was really entertaining to watch. And FPX of course have already made it to an international event, so to me I think it's between these 4 teams. I don't think Flexen will really move the needle 100%. My worry is that the Trace trade has made them weaker, so I might just go with FPX, JDG, and TEC as my 3 teams for Omega here. It's gonna be questionable, and flashbang warning, maybe a little late. But for Group A, I think they have already highlighted it for me. Gen G for sure going through, T1 for sure going through. And if I compare TS versus Global and Bleed, Team Secret have some insane firepower. I like Team Secret a lot. I was doubting them, you know. Borkum really stepped it up and was performing really well. NDG had like a bounce back map after kind of getting shit on. So top 3 here for me already secured, and I don't think the moves that they made for Bleed is enough to take them into this top spot. Now for Group Omega, Paper X for me definitely going through. I also believe that I think DRX will make it through as well. I still think the quality of their players are still really, really good. So I don't want to doubt them. And I'm going to go RRQ. I actually really liked RRQ. It kind of sucked since they were in Group C that they had to face against Gen G twice. And of course, Gen G went on their incredible run throughout kickoff and Masters Madrid. So yeah, that sucks. But RRQ put up a really, really good fight. I like RRQ. They got some aimers on there. So you know what? I'm going to put RRQ as my 3rd team from Group Omega. Let's go over my pick'ems. So I guess this is kind of cheating. This is my 2nd time recording this video, as I recorded all of this video without my camera recording like a dumbass. So you kind of already get to see my pick'ems already since they're locked in. But I went with Leb over Cloud9. I think C9 with their roster changes and roster moves, you're just going to have to question mark that. Leb didn't look as good as I would have hoped or expected, but I still expect them to be a much better team than C9. NRG over Loud. Loud are also suffering from visa issues right now and have not been able to practice. So I'm gonna go with NRG because of course they've had the time to work on their map pool, work on their agents and what they want to do. I also think that NRG looked pretty good. They just got outplayed by Sentinels. EG versus G2. I'm actually going with EG here. And the reason for that is, although EG are a very counter-strat heavy team and need a lot of data, I still think there are decent enough maps around G2. And just because you drop Net and replace them with Icy, I don't think that will necessarily change how their game plan or how they will normally play really too much. So I'm back in the EG boys here. In Potter we believe. Sentinels versus 100 Thieves. Mentioned this earlier with Sentinels not having John. I think 100 Thieves can take this map for sure. I believe that the 100 Thieves have lost the last 3 or 4 matchups against Sentinels, so I'm really hoping that they can take this win over them. I do believe in this 100 Thieves team. I think that they look good. They have a good opportunity to show out once the season begins with the off time to work on their agent pool and their map pool. And I think Sentinels with having a stand-in, that's definitely going to be tough. But I think because Sentinels have a stand-in, all the pressure's on 100 Thieves. Like every bit of pressure's on 100 Thieves to win this matchup. So if 100 Thieves loses this matchup, this might do some damage to the mental, bro. No cap. And last but not least, we have Furia versus Crew. I have Furia taking this matchup. Again, I'm not super big on the Heat signing. I don't know how he'll feel. I don't know their roles. Versus I'm much more confident in now as they're performing well on this roster and leading them to success. So we're going with Furia. Heading over to EMEA, I have Carmine Core taking it over Giants. Of course, Carmine Core, no questions asked. I'm Martin Pilled, 100%. Team Liquid versus Koi. Now this one I was really going back and forth on because Koi did beat them at kickoff and they looked solid, but I also think that TL just needs more reps and more time together. Kiko is an absolute talent. I mean, he put up 37 frags in a map or something like that. So I mean, he's an absolute talent. I think if this team can work together and gel better, and really it's just, to me, it's Enzo's agent pool that's the big question mark for them. But I'm gonna go with Liquid here, but I think Koi can win this for sure. Navi versus Vitality. This will be the first time that Vitality will be playing with Trex, so I don't know how well they will perform, although I am rooting for them. I'm going with Navi. Major winners, baby. Shout out to Alexi B. God, dude, the major grand finals for Copenhagen was insane. Actually, all of Copenhagen was insane. That's kind of why I was also MIA a little bit. I was kind of CS pilled for a while because I love CS still. Love that game. Maybe I'll do some CS content. Who knows? Let me know down below in the comments if you want me to do some CS content. Although I am very Valorant focused, I would like to delve a little bit and talk about some other games too, you know? I'm a multifaceted man. Anyways, Fnatic versus Team Heretics. Because of Team Heretics stand-in situation, as well as just Fnatic being Fnatic, I'm gonna go with them. Foot versus TL. This one, I think I'm just high on the Turks, honestly. I think they performed well. I just think they were just overthinking and overcooking too much. I think if they'd really play their game and just stick to their game, I think they can beat Team Liquid for sure. I think they have the firepower to match up. I think Yetu really impressed. So let's go Foot. And last but not least, BBL versus Gentle Mates. I have Gentle Mates taking it here. I am just not very confident in BBL, man. Just not at all. Gentle Mates, they have their own way of playing the game. They love running double duelists with Natank and Takas. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with Gentle Mates here. I still kind of regard both of these teams as like bottom of the table teams here, so it's kind of iffy. Heading over to the Pacific, we have 8 games. Jesus, dude, Pacific, they speedrun their stuff for sure. Zeta versus Global, and I have Zeta taking this. I just don't believe in Global. Zeta has taken the matchup twice already, and I like Zeta Division more. Global Esports, I just don't know. I think they're buying comp with the Solo Viper, which is not it. It's just not it. I don't know. Moving on, Team Secret versus DRX. This one's gonna be really interesting, but I'm going with the Adobo gang. I really believe in Envy and Jeremy. I think they were like number 1 and number 2 in stats for kickoff. Like they were absolutely frying. So I don't know. I like Team Secret. I think they got the firepower. I think if they just need to work more on their fundamentals a little bit, they do have some young players on their team. So who knows? But I have it taking them over DRX. This might be a bit of a gamba though. Talon versus Bleed. I have been doubting Talon so much. I was giving so much grief to Talon before kickoff, and they honestly kind of impressed me at kickoff. I was thoroughly impressed by some of what they were doing. So Bleed just has too many question marks right now coming into the regular season, so Talon is going to take the dub here for me. Paper Rex versus T1. This one is an emotional pick. I picked Paper Rex. Although there is some logic behind it, Paper Rex were able to beat T1 in kickoff semifinals, and that was with Munyet not performing super well. So we do have question marks about how well Jing will play, but obviously he's played with these other 4 members before. So I'm going with Forsaken in the Susanto battle, man. That's just how it do be. Team Secret versus RRQ. I'm going with RRQ. Like I said earlier in my predictions of the groups, I just think RRQ looked really good. They're strong. They're a strong team, and I think they're getting underrated a little bit. So I put them over Secret here. DRX versus Global Esports. DRX, there doesn't really need to be much of a discussion there. Gen G versus Talon. Also, I don't think there needs to be much of a discussion there. I think Gen G have really leveled up. I think their Madrid run, although they did crumble in the grand finals, they're still quite impressive, man. They're a very good team. And T1 versus DFM, I have that one T1 taking it over them quite easily. DFM, though, I was very impressed by their duelist player May. I thought May was pretty good. But yeah, those are my predictions for the Pacific stage. And to round out the video, last but not least, we have China. So my first matchup between BLG versus Tai Lu, I have BLG. Again, I just feel like I'm more confident in the boys in blue. And yeah, Tai Lu just does not look that good. Next up, we have Wolves and Titan. So I am maybe just on the Wolves hopium here. But I like this team, bro. I just like this team, man. So I'm on the Wolves. It's the battle of the 8-man rosters, and I'm going with Wolves. DRG versus All Gamers. This is DRG all day. All Gamers, they looked okay, but not like amazing. But DRG definitely looked very good. T-Virus Luke is an absolute talent, and Vukashu is that boy different. EDG versus JDG. This one I definitely went back and forth on a lot, and I ended up going with EDG here, although they did kind of get shit on at the end of Madrid, getting blown out in like the last 3.5 maps that they played. They're still the kings of China, and it'll be interesting to see how Yu Chen comes in as the IGL and how that will transform JDG. So I guess we'll have to find out. Maybe later down the year, maybe JDG will take this, but I don't know. Guess we'll see. Nova versus Trace. I have Trace Esports. Although Trace, I believe, are making slight downgrades in my opinion, and Nova might be making an upgrade. Arguably, they have made an upgrade. I think this can be a very competitive match, but I like Trace. I'm on the Trace team. So, pushing Trace. And last but not least, Wolves versus FPX. Damn, FPX only got to play one game at the end of the week. Pretty fire for them. But I'm going with Wolves. Ow! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Although FPX, of course, made it to Madrid, I'm Wolves pilled. I'm Wolves pilled. There, I said it. I said it. There you go. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all of my pick'ems for the first week for all the 4 regions. And I believe they begin tomorrow with EMEA. So stay tuned, I guess, for more content coming out. And yeah, let me know down below what you think about the groups. Who do you think has an advantage in any of the regions? And who do you have winning the opening matchups for your respective league that you're supporting? But yeah, leave all that down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, let me know what team you're supporting. I love to hear what team you're supporting and why. It's always fun to see what kind of fandom people are a part of. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, stay hydrated. Peace.